AI is fueling a surprising oil boom. AI's energy consumption is skyrocketing, already comparable to a small nation like Germany or Saudi Arabia. In the next 2 years, AI's energy needs are expected to double, equivalent to adding an entire first world country's demand overnight. Despite the push for renewables, AI needs stable, high-density energy that only oil reliably provides. Data centers powering AI run 24/7, requiring a consistent electricity that renewables alone can't guarantee. This keeps oil essential. The U.S. grid is already maxed out, and AI's demand is pushing it to the limit. Oil is crucial for backup generators and transporting energy to data centers. The more AI grows, the more oil will be needed to fill these gaps. AI's rising demand could push oil prices beyond the days of George W. Bush when we hit well over $130 a barrel. With 70% of global internet traffic flowing through U.S. data centers, any disruption would force heavier reliance on oil-based energy solutions. AI's energy needs are expected to consume 25% of U.S. electricity within a decade. Oil is in the linchpin to making that expansion possible. The AI-driven oil demand is set to drive prices up, offering a golden opportunity for oil enthusiasts, oil investors. It's going to be the decade for oil. In the past, when countries grew, it was 100% reliant upon resources. In the days of medieval times, before oil was needed, before electricity, before energy, before cars, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, you needed a fuel source, and that was food. Food was the key back then. And that's why you didn't see countries growing very quickly, because it took more people to collect food. The ability to use 10 people to collect food for 1,000 people was impossible, because those 10 people needed to eat. And horses, they trained horses to work the farmland. They trained oxen. And so they were able to increase the amount of food per person. That allowed them to have more energy for other things, like for war, to expand, to build kingdoms. But what really drove growth was oil, was combustible energy, was the ability to produce the vehicle, to produce tractors. The industrial age was born, and it caused the rapid expansion of our kingdom, which is America today. We grew at levels that pharaohs and the Roman Empire only had dreamt. We have conquered the world because of oil, because of energy. And we made a deal with Saudi Arabia during the days of Richard Kissinger. We made a deal with Saudi Arabia, and it caused cheap, abundant energy to be throughout our entire nation. And now today, the same country that has amassed power, the most powerful nation in the world, because of oil, it has now demonized the very thing, the very backbone, the very blood of our nation. And they're trying to push this way of thinking on other countries. You look at India. India's GDP is the fastest growing GDP in the world right now at 6.8%. America could only dream of 6.8%. But you got to ask yourself why? Because they have yet to take on this woke idea that oil is evil. While everyone else was condemning oil, spending money on green energy, putting sanctions, staying away from oil sources like Russia, Iran, and those others in the Middle East have abundant oil, India was not focusing its efforts on green energy. They were not in line with the anti-oil regime. They said, our focus is on what's important to our country. And they are still in the belief that we need cheap, abundant energy like oil. Oil is still important to them. They're not voicing the anti-oil agenda. They're buying oil. They're buying oil from Russia. They were the most insulated during the days of COVID. If you listen to Jerome Powell's recent speech, he blamed COVID for the state of affairs completely. He didn't blame the fact that we have condemned oil and oil prices increasing has caused inflation. He didn't condemn the malpractice of Western policies of demonizing oil and spending trillions and trillions of dollars on green energy. You look at India, their green energy spending has decreased substantially. substantially. And their spending on oil has increased substantially. Their oil demand is increasing in a massive way. Growth rates of compared to America. I'm telling you right now, AI is the future. And every country knows that it's the equivalent of nuclear power. And there is a race for AI, a race to build a better AI system. Because in the future, if you don't have AI, you're going to lose. And America knows this. And they figured out that AI consumes a massive amount of energy. Even if we generated a free energy today, it was free. Let's say it had the ability to power every single home, everything in the world, every car, every plane, everything. How would this energy get to you without the proper kind of infrastructure? Even if they had a green energy that actually worked, the infrastructure does not have the ability to power our nation. Oil is the only energy that you could transport. Natural gas, you can't transport it. That's why they have to have a gas line running from the gas wells all the way to the refineries. Oil is a transportable energy. Electricity, the only way you could transport it is unless you charge a battery. But the cost is not economically feasible. It's too expensive. I mean, if you dealt with the battery bottleneck, you wouldn't have the limitations that you have today in electric cars. I mean, batteries are so heavy. They're so inefficient. They're so ineffective. It's very expensive. The amount of storage in batteries do not compare to the cost to store oil. Oil is much cheaper and more combustible than electricity. I'm here to tell you, green energy, they spent $5 trillion on green energy, yet our oil demand continues to grow. And America's preaching to these other countries to use a green energy that doesn't work. And nobody could afford it, but they're coming to the table and spending trillions. But India found out that it didn't work, which is why they've reduced their spending on green energy. It doesn't work. Their GDP is growing because they're ignoring the left, the policies, the anti-woke agenda, or the woke agenda and the anti-oil agenda. India has ignored it, and their GDP has exploded. And many other countries are paying attention. It's one of those things where they say one thing and they do another. It's kind of like these religious folk that they preach one thing and they do something else. The world is preaching oil is evil. The world is preaching green energy is replacing oil. The world is preaching, hey, global warming is real. But what they do behind the scenes, if you have a choice between green energy and feeding your family, you're going to choose your family every time. If you are leading a country, unless you are paid off, unless you are bought, you're going to do what's best for your country. And so a lot of these people are figuring out, hey, green energy isn't working. Oil, that works. It's cheaper. Right now, it's cheaper to consume oil. It's cheaper to use oil for our gas-powered cars and our diesel cars and our jet-powered airplanes. And these countries are not buying the BS anymore. And with AI, it has leveled the playing field. AI is causing rapid growth in countries. The ability to tap into technology, the ability to innovate, the ability to fight wars that they normally couldn't fight, the ability to create weapons of mass destructions that they weren't able to develop years ago. It's advancing civilization at a level that we've never seen before. But every time a country innovates, it's normally one country is 1,000 years ahead of the game. America was years ahead of the game. You look at the Roman Empire, they had a moment of history. They grew rapidly. They had things that no other country had, which is what kept them on top. But that country imploded. We look at America, we had amassed the most powerful military this world has ever seen. And because of that, we've been able to be the police of the world, dictate governments. We've been able to sanction and control the world because we amassed a powerful military power thanks to the printing press. And there's no way we could have done any of this without cheap, abundant energy, oil. There's absolutely no way to do it. America, at one time, we were the superpower. At one time, nobody could compete with us, but those days are coming to an end because of AI, because of these other countries catching up. All it takes is for Iran to get one nuclear bomb, and it levels the playing field. Yes, we have more nuclear bombs. We have more technology. We have more airplanes, more aircraft carriers. Yes. But if one nuclear bomb could take out an entire city. It levels the playing field. Iran is very close to having nuclear capabilities if they haven't already. They have access to Russian weapons. I mean, Russia has access to Iranian weapons using their drone systems. I'm telling you, the playing field is leveled, and Putin is losing his patience. Ukraine has gone deep. Just recently, Ukraine has attacked even more oil depots in Russia. And Russia hasn't seemed to respond over the last 6 weeks. Has Russia faltered? Have they ran out of money? Do they have the ability to even attack anymore? Of course they do. So what are they doing here? While Russia and Iran both are quiet, I truly believe that they are working together. Maybe they're staging in Syria. Maybe they're staging and prepping and preparing for a response that the globe has never seen. I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, Iran and Putin both are looking very weak right now. And when you have unstable men in power with the pride the size of Jupiter, with access to weapons of mass destruction like you wouldn't believe, I wouldn't underestimate their plan. And Ukraine is desperate to get the attention of the world so they could continue to get the financing of America. In today's war, you have to get newsworthy attacks in order to keep your war finance. Russia's war with Ukraine caused oil prices to go up because it was newsworthy, which is exactly what Russia needed to happen. Iran, they made their claims against Israel and oil prices went up. Oil is the catalyst to provide the funds needed for war, for Russia, Iran, and many other countries. Where America, they're asking Ukraine, hey, don't attack the oil depots. Do not attack oil infrastructure in Russia because they're concerned about the price of gas. And why are they concerned about the price of gas? Is it because they care about their citizens, or is it because they care about being reelected? I mean, I think it's the being reelected thing. I mean, you look at what Jerome Powell was saying. They blamed it on COVID, the pandemic, completely. I'm here to tell you the growth rate of the world. AI demand is increasing electricity demand like you wouldn't believe. Well, so is cryptocurrency, crypto mining around the globe. The demand for energy is unbelievable. Back in the 80s, you didn't even have a calculator. Today, you have a powerful computer in your pocket. The latest iPhone and the latest Samsung is far more powerful than any computer in early 2000. The amount of data it takes just to transmit information, to access your banking records, to access your data, to watch YouTube videos, to watch everything you access is in a data room. And the computer, you don't just flip on the computer when you need information. That computer has to be on at all times. Those computers always have power. The expansion of resources for AI is unprecedented. It's growing at such a rapid rate. It's forming the equivalent of a country's oil demand overnight. Oil is so important, but you're never going to hear this from the left. You're never going to hear this from mainstream media. You'll hear this from honest folks in the Middle East, like India. They see the writing on the wall. While everyone else is going green, well, many are going green, I should say, and spending money on green energy, Saudi Arabia and China are smart. They have solidified relationships with Russia, with Saudi Arabia, like we did back in the days of Richard Kissinger. What do you think Saudi Arabia is going to do to a country that has gone woke, that is anti-oil, and has used the New York Stock Exchange to damage the price of oil, to manipulate the price of oil? What do you think these Middle Eastern countries that are pro-oil, that make all their money from oil, are going to do to countries like America, like the European Union, like the whole West? They are all anti-oil, yet they consume it more than anyone in the world. But they demonize it. What do you think the first chance BRICS, who controls 45% of the world's oil supply, what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to continue to sell their oil at the price that they dictate, as if they're God, as if they control all the oil? I truly believe that they are going to teach them a lesson. Oil is not to be played with. Oil is very important, yet they disrespect it. It's kind of like a husband who continues to disrespect his wife when the wife is doing everything. She's providing, she's taking care of the kids, she's taking care of the home, and the husband continues to disrespect that spouse. At some point, that woman is going to leave and find something better. I'm telling you, Oil has provided for us, has built our country. At some point, the disrespect will be confronted, will be met, and it's going to be bricks to confront this. And I'm telling you, with the rise of energy demand and the continued lying to us saying, hey guys, green energy is working. We don't need the Middle Eastern oil anymore. We have cheap, abundant energy underneath our feet in America. Guys, it's not enough energy. It's not enough oil, and the divestment in oil. We have only 500 active oil rigs in the U.S. It's the lowest it's been in years. They're not developing near as much oil. They're capital disciplined. They're not going to make the same mistake they made in 2019 when they added an additional 1 million barrels of oil a day output for 8 years. They added 8 million barrels of output in a short period of time. No country's ever been able to do that. And then oil prices crashed. Why would they ever do something like that ever again? You spend billions and billions of dollars to increase your oil output just to lose billions and billions of dollars. 75 oil companies went out of business during that time. They're not going to make that same mistake. And larger companies own majority of the shale now because many of these smaller acquisitions have taken place. And so the bigger boys, they are using AI. They know exactly how much they need to develop and how much oil they need to produce in order to keep oil prices higher. And the left, instead of the left and the powers that be saying that they're being smart, they're being intelligent, they are accusing them of working with OPEC to curb production. They're accusing them of working with OPEC to manipulate oil prices, while they are manipulating oil prices on the NYMEX and the ICE. The two major stock exchanges control 80% of the world's oil supply. They're controlling oil prices by manipulation, but they're accusing oil companies of doing the very same thing. Oil companies, it doesn't make any sense for an oil company to drill themselves in a situation where the value of their stock and the value of their oil drops substantially. Same reason why Saudi Arabia curbs their oil output, and along with OPEC. So I'm here to tell you, with the war brewing in Russia, I'm telling you right now, they're not going to play nice. They've been quiet these last 6 weeks. But you think they're going to allow Ukraine to continue in their backyard bombing their oil infrastructure? You think Iran is going to continue to allow their brothers, Lebanon, to continue to be attacked by Israel while they stand idle and look weak to the world? I'm telling you, they're planning something. I can just feel it in my bones. They're planning something, and it's all about oil, control, and power. Their goal is to prop oil prices up, where the West's goal is to keep oil prices down. All right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. Comment below. Tell me what you think. Where do you think oil prices are going? And please share this video, because the algorithms do not like this information. So when you guys share, it really helps me out. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Thanks.